Amazon isn't just a website. It's a company that has reshaped the way we live. Do you need groceries? Amazon. Binging a new series? Well, watch it on Amazon. Controlling your lights with just your voice? It's Amazon too. So how did one company go from selling books online to literally changing the way the world shops? Today, we're diving into the incredible story of Amazon, from its humble garage days to its world domination, honestly. We're going to cover some of the missteps, the failures, and the bold bets that maybe didn't work out, as well as what they did really well and what they focused on to build Amazon to what it is today. So let's get into it. So it's 1994 and Jeff Bezos is a Wall Street hedge fund vice president. Already probably pretty successful, but he's reading about something new that's kind of coming up the pipeline, the internet. At the time, internet usage was growing at about 2,300% per year. And Bezos kind of sees that statistic and thinks, I need to ride that wave. So he does what most people probably wouldn't do. Straight up quits his job. Starts to write a business plan as he's driving across country on his way to Seattle, and he starts building his startup in his garage. And fun fact, the servers that he started Amazon on drew so much power that even if you just turned on a vacuum cleaner or a hairdryer, you'd probably pop a fuse. The main plan for Bezos? Sell books. Why books? They're super easy to ship. They have a consistent demand, and there are millions of titles and authors out there. Brick and mortar stores just couldn't hold all the books that people wanted to get a hold of, but a website totally could. And he thought of a genius name to call it. Cadabra. You know, like abracadabra. But a lawyer had misheard it at one point and thought it was cadaver. And, having a dead body is not really a great brand vibe. So he renamed it Amazon, after the biggest river in the world, kind of fitting the scale for what he had in mind. So from the very beginning, Bezos wasn't thinking small. In fact, one of the earliest investors later said, Jeff didn't say he was building an online bookstore. He was building the everything store. So as they continued on, they started to dive into a couple more things besides just books. In 1997, Amazon finally went public, and they weren't still just selling books. In those 3 short years, they were already worth $400 million. In 1998, Amazon started to expand into music and DVDs, and then toys, and then electronics. Bezos really wasn't waiting for permission. He was racing to become the go-to destination for all online shopping. And in 1999, they made a huge acquisition, buying a company called Alexa. No, not the Amazon Echo or the Amazon Show. This was the Alexa Internet. It was a web analytics firm. But it kind of shows that Bezos was thinking beyond retail even then. That same year, Time magazine named Jeff Bezos Person of the Year. Amazon stock was soaring, but the dot-com bubble was about to burst. Everyone was kind of scared what was going to happen to kind of online shopping and online websites in general. When the dot-com bubble finally did burst, many internet companies died. They just didn't make it through. But Amazon survived. Why? They had a strategy. Build infrastructure, deliver value, and focus on the long game. Amazon was always investing time for innovating for the future. In 2005, they introduced Amazon Prime, and this was kind of a turning point for Amazon. Prime offered 2-day shipping for a flat yearly subscription fee. And today we kind of take it for granted. But back then, subscriptions were kind of wild. Customers were kind of skeptical. Why can't I just buy something once and be done with it? Why would I have to pay every month or every year? Subscriptions just weren't the norm. But think about it now. Literally, Amazon has defined what shipping should be like. If something doesn't get here within 2 to 3 days, I don't even want it. And honestly, working in small business, it's almost a little frustrating because your customers expect you to have that same shipping guarantee as Amazon, the giant company that it is. But it kind of speaks to what Jeff Bezos was always obsessed with, making sure the customer was taken care of. Bezos believed that if he could reduce the friction of shopping, people would buy more. And it works. Prime members spend way more than non-members. It kind of created this loyalty through convenience. I have Amazon Prime, and just about everybody I know has Amazon Prime because we shop online so often. In 2006, they introduced Amazon Web Services, and this is where things kind of start to really get crazy. While everyone saw Amazon as just another retailer, behind the scenes, they were kind of quietly building this cloud empire. AWS would let other companies rent computing power, which was something that Amazon had kind of mastered for itself. Fast forward to now, AWS is a huge chunk of Amazon's profits. Companies like Netflix, Airbnb, and even NASA use AWS for some of their systems. And in 2014, they have Alexa and Echo. Amazon jumps into the voice assistant technology sphere, and it kind of started out a little bit slow. But over time, Alexa became a household name and is the going forward name for a lot of their smart home devices. Echo devices are now staples in millions of homes, controlling lights, music, shopping lists, almost anything that requires power. I wouldn't be surprised if you could cook toast with your Amazon Alexa here in the near future, if you can't already. It was kind of the next layer of convenience. So what made Amazon succeed when so many others had failed? Their number one thing, in my opinion, was their customer obsession. Bezos once famously said, "We are not competitor obsessed, we are customer obsessed." Free returns, fast shipping, easy refunds, even if it meant some short-term losses. They built customer trust. And when I was working in small business and selling some stuff on Amazon, it was a little bit frustrating when people would send things back so willy-nilly and Amazon would just basically say, "Yep, refund the customer, you're done." But as a shopper myself, it is very nice when something either doesn't fit, maybe didn't work, or wasn't up to my expectations. I can just send it back, get a refund, and then probably spend it again somewhere else at Amazon. Number two thing and why Amazon succeeded, their delivery infrastructure. Amazon didn't just rely on others. They started to build massive fulfillment centers, delivery routes, and even experimented with drones. And they kind of owned their logistics chains to make sure that they could do everything that they promised the customer they could. And number three, Amazon was always experimenting with something. From Kindle to AWS to cashierless grocery centers, yes, that's a thing. Amazon never stood still. They just kept pushing and trying to find ways to bring more satisfaction and more ease to all of their customers. But not everything Amazon and Jeff Bezos touched always turned to gold. There were some shortcomings and failures along the way too, which we're going to kind of dive into right now. First one, in 2014, they released the Fire Phone. This was Amazon's ambitious leap into the smartphone category, and they kind of marketed it as the iPhone killer. But within about a year, there wasn't really any interest in it. It kind of fizzled out. The Fire Phone's main gimmick was a dynamic perspective. This 3D display that uses 4 front-facing cameras to kind of track your head movement. Cool? Maybe. Useful? Probably not really. Worse yet, it lacked access to the full Google Play Store, making its app library very limited, and they were competing directly with Apple and Samsung, and they didn't quite have that brand loyalty or ecosystem. So, who got it right? Apple is kind of taking the market over, and there's a lot of Google phones out there too. So just because Amazon failed doesn't mean that there wasn't demand for that product. It just didn't quite line up the way that they thought it would. In 2015, they launched Amazon Destinations. They kind of attempted to break into the travel space. They were trying to offer hotel bookings for weekend getaways and trying to get people out and get into that vacation traveling market that's out there. The catch, it really only covered a couple of US metro areas and didn't really include the full package, flights, meals, and everything like that. Customers kind of got a little confused. Was it just for hotels? And why not just bundle the whole trip together? It kind of lacked the inspiration and comprehensive tools that many modern travelers expect. But things like Airbnb and Booking.com are able to flourish in that market. Airbnb allows hosts and regular people to rent out spaces in their own houses to create a unique travel experience. And Booking.com offered global hotel inventory and a lot of flexible cancellation policies, which kind of gained traveler trust. In 2014, Amazon tried also to break into the credit card merchant services with Amazon Local Register. And this was kind of Amazon Swipe at Square, a mobile credit card reader for small businesses. It plugs straight into your phone and offers slightly lower fees than some of the competition. But it was probably too little too late. Square had already built a huge loyal customer base, sleek hardware, and it was powerful business software ecosystem. Amazon just couldn't quite break that trust barrier to really cement a place in the market. And in 2020, there was the canceled game Crucible. So Amazon Game Studios launched Crucible as its kind of flagship free-to-play multiplayer shooter, hoping to kind of tap into the exploding esports and the online gaming market during the COVID years. It was part hero shooter, part battle royale, but it didn't really have the same polish as some of its competitors. It didn't really catch on with a lot of people and never really got the community support that they hoped for. But that doesn't mean that this kind of genre was a fail either. You have now Marvel Rivals, one of the most popular 6-player team shooters out there right now, and the same third person that Crucible was trying to do. You have things like Fortnite and Overwatch as well that kind of continue to be popular and have a huge customer base behind it. So just because Amazon failed at some of these things doesn't mean the market was a failure, but there's a couple of missteps along the way. Amazon's failures weren't random. They were kind of calculated experiments. And while they didn't all pay off, they kind of reflect Jeff Bezos' philosophy. If you're going to take bold bets, they're going to be experiments, and experiments come with failure. In other words, if you're not failing, you're probably not innovating enough. So how did Amazon become what it is today? It wasn't just about the books or even just about the tech. It was about constantly asking one question: how can we make this better for the customer? They didn't wait for the world to change. They built the infrastructure in order to change it. And love them or hate them, there's no denying Amazon is one of the most influential companies of our time. If you found this deep dive interesting, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps the channel. And if you want more breakdowns of companies shaping our world, go ahead and subscribe. I've got more stories coming soon, more research that I'm doing, and I'd love if you guys stuck around to watch those as well. Thanks for watching. My name is Colt Bullock. This has been the My Career Path podcast on YouTube, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.